Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us on today's webinar titled Enhanced Safety in Schools and Businesses for Less Than Half the Cost, covering our new BN2037TH thermal camera. My name is Ken Miguel, and here with me is Mr. Mike Lugo. Mike, how are you doing?
Doing great. Hope everybody out there is doing great.
Good, good. This is our first webinar of 2021. First of many more, right? So we know why you guys are here. You guys want to see this newest thermal solution. So we're going to cover topics. Why is this, an effective thermal solution? And why is it less than half the price? We're going to look into the hardware. We're going to go through the actual camera setup and installation, how to do recordings, camera settings, how to navigate through the Bolide SVMS software, how to integrate this to an NVR. Really, we know what you guys are here for. You're a reseller. You want to quote a project with this type of solution, body temperature readings for any public place, really. We're going to focus on the next 30 or 40 minutes, mainly on the setup and installation. For a solution like this, a thermal solution, to be as effective as it needs to be, setup, angle, distances, those are very important factors for this type of solution to work correctly. Right, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. So guys, there is a questions box on your screen. At any time this webinar, feel free to ask a question. We're going to stop and answer them as we go. So with that being said, let's have a look at this camera. Okay, so first, what is the BN2037TH? This is our new generation multi-person body temperature thermal camera. This is a microbolometer based thermal sensor for indoor environments. Great for really any public place, schools, office, retail stores, where you need multi-person body temp checks to enhance safety. When businesses start to open up, schools start to open up. We're gonna go over why do we say it's less than half the cost. So if you look here, to your left is our big thermal camera, the BN2037TH with the black body. Okay, so MSRP for that solution is about $24,000. As a dealer, you're probably paying about $13,000 for it. For this solution, the BN2037TH MSRP is considerably less, $8,750. Dealers, you're paying about $5,000 for this unit. So the difference is this new solution does not require a black body, and we'll go over how it works like that. But not having that expensive piece of equipment really drives down the cost, meaning you guys can become more competitive when you guys are selling a thermal solution, competing with another company. Just overall, it's an effective solution at a lower cost. So I'm gonna have Mike's help here in explaining how we can accomplish this no black body requirement and still be able to perform accurate body temperature readings.
Yeah. So real important. So aside from not using the black body, we have a new chip-driven algorithm that's more accurate. One of the most important things, though, is that when we engineer our lenses, we use high-quality black bodies during the engineering process, and that helps to fine-tune the camera. And then another thing that we do is we add shutters over our sensors to help adjust for uniformity temperatures. Ambient shift is a big thing. That's why you need black bodies, and these cameras are made to adjust for that ambient temperature changing.
Okay, let's look at this camera. So this is the BN2037TH. Looks like a bullet camera. Up front, there is a digital display, which is very cool. It actually displays the temperature of a single person that it's measuring. It's about 11 inches long, from top to bottom, 4¼ inches. On the bottom, there's a speaker. We're going to show you what that does. It's actually very cool. And there's a hatch that houses a couple of inputs. That's where you stick your micro SD card in for edge recording. There's a reset button on the bottom. And also, those lights will let you know if the camera's powered, getting network, and if the SD card is functioning. So the front. All right. So I'm gonna go over the brief on the camera specs. So it has essentially two cameras. One is a color camera. It's a 1080p 4mm lens with a 120 dB true WDR. The body temperature measurement is happening at the thermal camera. I mentioned it's a microbolometer, a thermal sensor, 256 by 192 effective pixels. Very sensitive sensor. It's 50 millikelvins. Also, you get to pick, certain many color palettes, and you'll see them later on. On the front, there's also the IR illuminator, and we're showing that display working on this image. The camera's ins and outs. You have of course, it's a PoE camera, but you also have a 12-volt connector. You have alarm input and output, which you can utilize for the device to trigger external alarm devices, right? Yep. If there's somebody with elevated temperature, you have audio in and out integration with a speaker, and you also have a BNC connector there if you want to, stream that analog composite video to a tester or a DVR or a monitor. Okay, so now we've gone over the camera. We're gonna have Mike show us the setup and installation process. So Mike, I ordered this camera out of the box. What's the first thing that I should do?
So out of the box, first thing you're gonna do, since it is PoE, and 8 times out of 10, you'll be using probably a PoE switch. So you're gonna plug that camera right into the switch. It's gonna power up, and then there's a tool. We have a search tool that will find the IP address. By default, it'll automatically be DHCP. So you plug it into your network, it's gonna grab an address, go ahead and hit search, it's already there, but you can see it. So once I get this pulled up, now I know the IP address, and I can go ahead and I can go into the camera by typing the IP into a browser. There's my browser, and you'll see my login. Now we've logged into this one already, but initially, after the first login, it's going to have you change the password. By default, it's admin, like most of our stuff. But since I've logged into this one already, I had to change it, so it's admin123. I can log in, and there's my live view. So different browsers give you different views. Internet Explorer will allow you to see one screen or one channel at a time. I can switch channels, and I can see the thermal image on channel 2. But we're going to go into some configuration settings.
I've got a question here. What's the power draw on this camera?
So 12 volts, 1 amp, or PoE, and it'll power up. Once we get into the screen, we're going to focus on the temperature measurement.
So when they get the camera, they put it up. Should they not worry about angle and positioning yet until they bring up the camera menu?
Yeah, not yet. So let's go ahead and let's go over the initial settings that you would need. And then as we go through the setup process, setting the feet, setting the angle, and then we'll go through and set the angle to which you desire.
Okay.
If you guys remember our webinar on our other camera, it's very similar. There's a few less settings to work with because they're already done for you. So it makes it really easy for you. Of course, you want to have the face detection on because that's how it's going to detect temperatures. It recognizes the face, then takes the temperature. Trace mode is just the way it's going to trace the face.
So this is under configuration.
Yeah,
right?
this is under temperature measurement. Yeah, configuration and then temperature measurement.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the first menu that I should go to if I'm installing this.
Yep. And then we talked about the coefficient of the camera, how it is able to adjust those ambient temperatures. You don't have to touch any of that. By default, it's on medium. That's perfect for our situation. So really important is the face minimum and maximum face pixel detection. And this is going to allow you to detect faces from further or closer depending on how big the object is that the camera's seeing. So by default, 70 to 1,000, and that's good for about 12 feet. That's going to be your 10 to 12 feet is going to be your ideal range. That's you're going to get the most accurate temperatures, especially if you have a lot of people coming through. You want to get that range honed in. Like Ken mentioned in the beginning, the most important thing with this camera is getting the setup process correctly and accurately so we can get accurate temperatures. And it's going to have to do with these initial settings here. So image quality, that's just how it's going to save the image. Snapshot mode, timing, optimal timing, or timer optimal. By default, timing is the best. Optimal can take a little longer. If you need that setting to be enabled, you can, but just keep in mind it's going to take longer to take a temperature. So timing is the optimal setting for it. Osd Overlay Snapshots, that's going to be the information that is on the screen as people come through and it takes snapshots. You want it to take that information, that OSD information you do, so we leave that on. And then we get to some fun stuff down here.
Now, Mike, if I'm sure they're going to have the camera powered up.
Yeah.
Is there a specific height where, so if this is a bullet camera.
Yeah.
What are ways to mount this camera?
So
ceiling mount, wall mount.
Ceiling mount, wall mount.
Typically, how high?
You want to have it above the person you're detecting. So, I mean, you wouldn't have it 6 feet because that people might bump into it. So, you know, maybe 10 feet low. And you can set that exactly what you have here. So here's a mounting distance.
So 10 feet, right?
Yeah, 10 feet. 10 to 12 feet would be ideal.
Yeah, not so don't install this high.
Yeah.
Up high will be inaccurate.
It'll be inaccurate, exactly.
Why do we say indoor only?
Oh, that's a very, very, very important question because this camera needs to have a controlled environment. Like any temperature scanning camera, the more controlled the environment, the better results you will get. So we want to make sure that this is as controlled as possible, just so we can get accurate temperatures and accurate readings.
So if the end user wants this outdoors, you got to tell them it won't work.
Yes,
right?
correctly. Yeah, that is a very big thing to keep in mind.
What about having people come from
outside,
outdoors?
Or yeah, that's another good question. So, you know, people sometimes coming from the very extreme cold, or, you know, maybe they might hit the gym before work or whatever. So they might have elevated skin temperature or lower skin temperature. And because the camera takes it from the temperature and they get a higher low reading, you might maybe want to have them stand to the side for about 30 seconds to a minute so their skin can actually catch up to the body temperature.
So where does the camera actually get the temperature readings?
So that's another very important question. So a lot of cameras take it from different places. Ours will take it from between your eyes, which is the most accurate way to take a temperature. So it's the closest thing to, you know, getting past your skin, be your eyes. And so that's how our camera takes it. We also have an option to take the whole face, but it's not as accurate, which would be our temperature area mode. You can see it's in mode 2 here. We recommend mode 2. You're gonna get accurate temperatures, fast temperatures, and it's gonna read from somewhere on the body that's gonna have the temperature closest to the body temperature instead of the skin temperature. But, you know, it's electronic. Sometimes you do have to wait those 30 seconds just to let the skin catch up to the body temperature.
All right.
Yeah. So there's a really cool feature that we added to this camera. As Ken mentioned, there's a speaker on the bottom. And you see now that we added some of these temperature alarms. Normal temperature, we really don't need an alarm for a normal temperature, but a high temperature, we would. And what this camera allows you to do now is actually give you an audible voice come out of the camera. You know, you have many options. This is for high temperature.
The speaker.
Yeah, the speaker at the bottom, and you can have it say any one of these phrases. High temperature, you know, verification failed. Numerous ways you want the camera to have a verbal speech come out of it. You can also turn this off. It's not something you have to have on. You can also, there's lights in the front of the camera. You can also have those flash as another indication of a high temperature. And of course, you can send it to an email. That would be our SMTP option. And of course, like always, an FTP, which is an offsite or onsite separate network folder you can transfer to.
All right.
Yeah. So our other camera with our black body, we had a thermal calibration. We don't have to worry about that because it's calibrated. You see, it's off. It's calibrated during the manufacturing process. We don't have to worry about that. And of course, bad point check. That's for us here. The camera has to come in for whatever reason. That's a manufacturer setting. Thermal mapping, we no longer have to worry about because thermal mapping was to get the two cameras in sync with each other using the black body. Since we no longer have to use the black body, we no longer have to use that setting. Ambient temperature. The ambient temperature does fluctuate. Most offices, most businesses either have some sort of air conditioning or some sort of controlled air environment. So this allows you to adjust that to whatever it is. You have your air set for 73, you know, and this actually tells you what the ambient temperature is. So you can adjust it according to that.
So you should manually type
yes.
the ambient if you have the AC set to a certain
yes
temperature.
Yes, and on the bottom, the adaptation is actually what the environment is, so you can change it accordingly.
All right.
And really, these are all settings we no longer have to worry about anymore. You can see they're off because they're during the manufacturing process. We take care of all this for you. It's just an easier camera to use. LED control. This is the LED in the front, and you can have it on all the time. You can have it off. You can have it flicker, or it can do a timing. In other words, when someone passes by, it's going to stay on for 30 seconds after the person is there. We have it off for now. It's daytime. We don't really need it. Yeah, this camera is really simple to use. As for the setup settings, that's about it. So I'm going to go over some of the other things you can do with the camera, like send emails, get notifications, things like that. Recording, edge recording, another one. So I'll go straight to edge recording. So you can see here's some settings for recording. You do have to set your schedule like any other recording device. You just drag across 24, meaning 24 hours, days of the week. You can have what stream you want to record. If you want to record more video at a lower stream. The record rule, when it cycles, usually you want to go from oldest to newest, or you can have days stored.
So storage of the videos go into either NVR for long term.
Yep.
The computer server for long term, or SD card for short term.
For short term, yeah.
All right.
And so record directory, this can tell you how big. So we can do 128 gigs as a SD card.
All right.
And that'll be on board on the camera. So let's go over to email. Sends you an email. If you need multiple people to get emails, you can see you can have up to 5. If you need more than that, I suggest you create a group email and have everybody just add it to that email.
So what's the significance of email in this case, for this camera?
So email is really important because you want to be able to get notifications of high temperatures or things like that. You want someone, if they're not watching it live, to be able to get that and know what's going on. So you want to have emails. It's on your network already, so you may as well just get the notifications. It's just a function that is needed for the camera to work optimally. So this is the GUI inside the camera. And also, of course, let me just do playback. You guys can see a playback. I'll show you how that works.
Well, let's do the installation.
Yeah.
Or the
CMS?
distances.
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah, we have to
Let's
do
do some distances. Right. So really important with this camera.
So right now, all right, let's simulate. We're installing this camera. It's already on the wall. What do they need? What do they need to set?
Okay, so
imagine this is a hallway, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a training room.
Yeah.
But,
so this mounting distance is very, very, very important.
So this is on configuration and then parameter configure.
Yeah, and all your configurations will be done in the parameter configure. Everything under it, we've pretty much taken care of for you already. So yeah, you just stay in this window, this option here, but I can't emphasize how important it is to get these settings right, because we're not using a black body. We want to make sure this is accurate, so we want to get this correct.
All right. So
like I said, ideal 10 to 12 feet. You want to go ahead, you want to make that measurement.
So are you going to put mount distance?
Yeah, so mount distance is where you're going to change it.
So what do they need? Do they need to know how close the people are going to get, or what do they need to watch out for?
So it's going to be how close they need to be to get accurate temperatures. So anything beyond 12 feet
from the camera.
From the camera. Yep. And anything closer, you're going to start to get high temperatures.
Is it in any area of the camera?
Yeah. So we're going to set an area. So you can see here, there's an area set. Let me clear it so I can show you actually how to do it. You click, and then it starts a line, and you click again, and you start to make your square, rectangle, the area that you want to detect. If there's an area of, maybe by a window, or it's, emitting heat, or by an air conditioner and it's emitting, cooler air, you could stay away from that by setting this in the correct configuration.
Oh, why is there a blue line on the screen?
So the blue line is my previous line. So once I hit that, I can apply.
So you want me to stand in front of it 12 feet away?
Yep.
I have a tape measure, so I'm going to measure my distance from the camera.
Yep. Yeah, distance is really, really important, especially when there's multiple people coming through. You want to have that distance. You can see he's in front of it right now, and he's too close, so he's getting on a high temperature. So like I said, distance is, I can't emphasize how important that is. So yes, he gets to about the 12-foot mark. You'll see that it's reading him with a good temperature, and they're going to green square around him. It's no longer red. That's perfect. That's what we need. So the configurations, it's not hard to configure, but they must be correct. They must be accurate. Yep, perfect. So, and this is also very big when multiple people come through. So let me go through here. Let me apply that, and I'm going to show you on a live screen. We're probably going to have some people come through, so you can see multiple people come through and see the accuracy of it. It's very important to have accuracy with these cameras without a black body, so we want to get everything correct. Okay, so yeah, perfect. You've seen that. As Ken put that down at 12 feet, his temperature became more accurate, as it should be.
What about longer distances?
So longer distances are fine. You don't want to go too far.
What's the like 50 feet? Is that too far?
I would say within 20, 25 feet. Anything beyond that, the faces are too small to recognize and get a clear temperature.
I'm gonna walk back further from the camera.
Okay, so yeah, Ken's gonna walk back further, and you guys can see for yourself how the temperatures or the readings themselves start to diminish or get not as accurate as he gets further back. So yeah, see that as he's getting further back, it's not even recognizing his face anymore because he's too far back. But you can correct that by the minimum pixel size. So he's way too far back for it to detect anything. But as he walks closer and he hits my range, you'll see that he'll start to detect him right where we have it set for 12 feet, and that's where his mark is. And bam, I'm getting a perfect reading at that temperature. So yeah, real important that you set that footage correctly. And so let me just show you this playback really quick since we're here. I want to set my dates, set a search. There's my green line, and play. That was before I set it up, and you have the whole rest of the day of playback on the camera. This is on board on the camera itself using an SD card and edge recording. So now that we got the configuration set up, now we can do some fun things with the software. So this is the GUI, logged on through the web browser. Actually, let me show you a live view too. So now we're going to go into the software that comes with the camera, which is the Bolide VMS.
So
VMS,
instant alerts is a really important
very important.
thing to set up. Instant alerts include what email notification
Email
to get a recorded screenshot of the temperature reading, the audible voice from the camera.
Yep.
And also audio output, right, from the
Yes.
camera.
Yes.
That's instant.
That's instant.
And there's alarm output.
Yep.
To go to alarm device by relay.
By relay.
Is that something that you set up on the camera or the SVMS software?
So all the settings are going to be set up on the camera. The camera settings are done in the camera. But with this software, you have a bunch of more tools, more notifications, more things to do with the software aside from the camera itself. You can also record to your PC that's running the software. And you can see here, there's my split view. I have both my thermal image and my regular image. You can see on the right, my temperatures coming through, high temperatures to the left. But here's a really cool option that you get. So you have a little cogwheel setting wheel here. Some display settings you can change. You know, it's pretty much preference, but there's also a speech function that is separate from the camera. So the camera talks, has a speech come out, but the software allows you to hook a speaker up and I can have it say whatever I want. Right now it says visitor, you know,
Hello?
I can have this say hello. Pretty much anything I want.
Or like so for like a store.
A store.
If they want to know that there's a guest.
Yep.
They can by hearing it.
Yep. Some stores have like a little chime when someone walks through the door.
Yeah.
Now you have a verbal option, have a verbal words come out, and you have these different options. You know, body temperature, and it has a couple things. Mask. So not wearing a mask.
Will it say wear your mask?
You can have it say whatever you want. So no mask. I can have this say, you know, whatever I want. Put a mask on. You know. Oops. Mask on, and that'll verbally come out of the speakers of your PC or laptop or however you have this connected.
So we want to mention this the Bolide SVMS software is pre-packaged with a camera. You don't need to buy it. How many cameras can you add to it?
So you can add, it's a VMS software, so you can add multiple cameras. Yes. There's really no limit. The limit would be your bandwidth, basically, kind of. You know, if you have more cameras, you have, depending on the PC, a bunch of factors, PC and, you know, stuff like that.
So no licenses.
No licenses.
This is available for PC only, or is there a Mac version?
Right now, there's a PC version. We're having a Mac version, will be soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So this software has a lot of stuff. There's a live view.
So also go back to because I really want to emphasize where we have the camera set up. There's no excessive sunlight.
Yeah.
There's no wind.
Yeah.
Yep. Or any elements. We want this to work right, so we gotta let you guys know that this environment, you know, it's got to be very controlled.
Yeah, and if you can see
in any thermal camera.
For sure, any thermal camera. Yeah, and you can see the windows in the picture in the back. They're dark because of the outside light. So, you know, we keep it away from that. You see the clear picture, you see the light coming in. Yeah. Where we have it set up, it's a perfect environment for the camera to get accurate readings. Yeah. So
if you're selling this to school, convince them to, you know, oh, actually, you tell them the spots where the cameras need to be at.
Yep. Yep.
If they have to be, you know, like an exterior, if there's tents, you know, those tents.
Yeah, the little
those work.
Tents. Yep. So they were again in controlled environment. So if the environment, if you're in a tent and the environment is the ambient temperature in the environment is higher or lower than what it normally should be, in the settings you can adjust that, but you want to control the environment. As long as the environment is controlled, you're able to control the camera's functionality. So
you want to do the multiple persons now? Or?
Yeah. So again, another plus of this camera is you can have multiple people come through at once, and it's going to take multiple temperatures at once. And while they're coming, another key feature is this here, real-time Temperature reports, I don't have the pop-up on because it starts to get excessive as everybody comes through, but I can have real-time displays on the screen come up. Back here. Can get some of the sales team to come down and walk through this camera, and you can see the multiple temperatures being taken. And this software has a lot of functionality. It's not just for this thermal camera, it's for a couple other cameras that we have already in our, and that we sell already, and one's coming up. So you see there's a bunch of, I'll show you right now. He comes through. So there's Ken, he's hit the mark. And here comes multiple people. So you'll see as they hit the correct area, they start to come up. And you can see the ones in back of my area, they're beyond my setting, so they're not gonna be popping up. But as they hit the setting area that I put in, you can see them that start to recognize their face and take their temperature.
They're about 12 feet away.
Yeah, they're coming up. Yeah. So anybody beyond my mark, it's not coming up. Anybody at my mark, you can see that they're all recognizing them. So it's really important. You want to have the camera somewhere where people are going to look at it, especially with people today, with everybody wearing masks. They have to be looking at the camera. It's not going to take it from, you know, the ear, or it has to get that eyeball areas where you want to get the temperatures to be taken. So you can see as they look away, it loses them. But once it can get that inner eye, you know, middle of the forehead, the temperatures will be taken.
Can you change the palette on the thermal camera?
Yeah. So let's go over. So remember, settings in the camera have to be done in the camera. So let me switch back over to the GUI real quick. You can see, and then I want to switch this over to channel 2. And then if I right click, go to my sensor. I'm not sure if you guys can see the sensor. So let me just change it. So here's some of the colors. That's the opposite of the other one. You do a rainbow, predator type.
Leave it on rainbow. I'm gonna get too close to the camera.
Okay. So Ken's going to show us what a high temperature looks like as he gets closer. See his temperature starts to increase as he gets closer, so now he's too close. But yeah, as he backs up, there it goes. It's a higher temperature because it's outside the threshold of what I set. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I can do, you know, many different colors, you know, depending on the preference or maybe the lighting, or, you know, there's different ways to do it.
Did I come up on the high temperature
You
when
did.
I got to?
Yeah, yes, you can see. Let me go back to my.
Are they okay? You're good to go?
Yeah, they're good to go. Okay. You can see here that the high temperatures came up. I have it set to 99. And they came up, showed him on the bottom that he had a high temperature. And you can see him getting alarms up here. Yeah, you can't hear because the camera's in the next room, but the camera also sends audibles telling you, you know, of the situation. Let me save this and go out of here. Okay. Back here. Okay.
So 12 feet high, 12 feet from the
actual yeah,
traffic. Where they're looking at the camera.
Yep. Yep.
And I know this camera has spatial recognition.
Yep.
We can name these people, right?
You can. So let me show you how to do that as well.
So if it's a school, they can put the students' names on them, right?
Yep. Yep. So like I mentioned, this software is not only for our thermal camera. There's other things that it does. There's a lot of different options you have here, but for face recognition, you want to go to the face library. And then I can add people from here. You know, I can add them via their name, picture. I can add them via USB. If I have them stored on my PC, I can get those pictures.
Can you retrieve it from the camera now?
You can. So, well, it's kind of weird the way you do it. You can retrieve it from the camera, but I have to go about it and save the picture first. So I would do oops. Here, open up all features. And then I can do a face match config, or there's a couple of different ways to do it. Go here, and it's going to pull pictures that are on the camera. So I select that, go over here, and then do a, where is my, so here I can save as, right? Oops, I'm lost. Save as, I save it. And then once it's saved, I can go back and add it to my library. You know, I'm just gonna open up my browser, name them, their ID, if they have an ID card, what do they do? This can actually be changed.
So let's call him James.
Yeah, I can actually change this other than teacher student. There's another, you know, I can put whoever I want, the type of, you know, person that they are. So yeah, James, you know, you name them their name, remarks that you want to have, you know, towards them. Libraries is another one. So you can see here, there's a default library, temporary. I can add multiple libraries. So I can add, so I have multiple cameras and I want each one to have its own database of camera faces. You know, I can go to the, you know, front door library, back door library, or, you know, maybe departments, and then you can add multiple faces to that one picture.
So let's add that photo.
So if I save it, actually, let's add myself. ID card, just remarks, you know, whatever, and then save the name. Now I am in the database.
Will it match you if you go to that camera?
It will match. I don't know if the picture's clear enough, but it should match me if you go to the camera. Yeah, for sure it'll match you. And yeah, so this also does, go back here, because you're using the face recognition as well, you can use other features as well because you're using that. You know, sort of a face search. You can do face match on top of other AI functions all the way down here. You know, open doors, things like that, using the alarm relay.
Okay, so now I want to connect this to an NVR.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So let me pull up my NVR here.
Any brand, right?
Any brand. OMVIF. You know, OMVIF is the way to go. Go to my desktop. Look at this. Okay. Capture card. Okay. So there is my camera, but I'm gonna delete it.
So this is an NVR?
This is an NVR.
Okay.
We come here, go into my setup. I'm actually gonna delete the camera. Here it is. And on to channel delete. So I'm gonna show you how easy it is to add this camera.
So let's say we already have on the same scheme on the same network.
Yeah, we pulled. So remember, we in the initial process we found what the IP was. We logged into the GUI. So now that we know what the IP is, we can come and we can find it here on our list. So the NVR is gonna automatically look for all the cameras on the network. And since I know the IP already, I can go. This is it. I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna put a check there, and then I'm gonna add my device. There it is. OMVIF. Remember, we changed my password to admin123, so that admin is default. So I'm gonna add 123 to that. Oops. 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna add. Get it there. So there it is. It's added. It's not green yet. It takes less than a minute for it to actually go live. But it's there. You'll see this turn green in a second. There it is.
Okay. Let's go to live footage. I'm gonna go back to the camera so we can show the audience what they're actually gonna see on the NVR.
What camera is that? It's not it. Oh, I added a different camera. 1 second. Let's get rid of this one. Okay. So let it search again. They'll come up. So that was good that that happened. So if you ever have to go back, you go back to the search tool, run the search tool again, find out what that address was, and then it comes up. So it's actually this one. Add admin 1, 2, 3. Add. There it is. Okay. Now I want to make sure what my 53. So give it a second. It'll turn green. There it is. Now we can go to live view.
Okay, I'm gonna walk in front of the camera.
All right. So there's our live view. And Ken's going out there. So you can see. And so this is on the NVR. This is on a Bolide NVR. It's taking his temperature. You can see that. So all this will be recorded to the hard drive of the NVR. When you go back and do playback on the NVR, you're going to see the temperatures come up. You'll see the squares around his face. You'll see the outline of my detection area. Everything's there that would be live on the screen. The only difference is the thermal image is not there, but I mean, you want to see a live color view when you're going to do playback for sure.
So what you can do is run the Bolide SVMS to monitor,
Yes.
and then connect to the NVR for long-term recordings, right?
Yes, and really important that he brought that up because our NVRs are PoE, but if you want to use the functions of the camera, you're going to have to put it on a external PoE, so it's on your network, and you can access it from your network or your PC. Most NVRs that have a PoE built in are going to have a separate network that it has, and so you're gonna, you're limiting yourself with options when you do that. So you want to have your own separate PoE so you can access the camera and all of its functions, as well as use the SVMS to do what you need to do.
Okay, so lastly, let's go back to incident alerts, alarm relay. How do I set that up?
So let's go over to.
So I wanted to trigger something to go off when there's a high temperature reading, right?
Configs. Yeah, we're gonna go back to our config.
Back to the camera.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're gonna go to alarm output. So here's where you want to do your configuration. So every alarm output has a switch mode, right? Is it pulse or is it just a single switch? But more importantly, it has a open or close function. So that's really all you need to set. Is it always open or is it always closed? And it works just like a light switch. If the connection is always open, then the relay will be able to cut that off, and vice versa. Very easy to set up. It also has, timing alarm output, and how many times do you want it to go off once it's triggered. So you can, by default, continuous. It's going to go off until the person or the alarm is away. Or you can just have it be for 2 consecutive times, 3 consecutive times, and you can manually do it and manually stop it. Right. So really important, really easy to do. Just make sure that you have those wires correct to whatever device you're using. And then of course our email, same thing.
We have a question here actually about emails. What did they get on the email notification? Is it a video clip, a screenshot?
You're gonna get a screenshot of the individual. If they're in the database, then you'll get their name, stuff like that. But you're gonna get temperature, time, picture.
Or it shows here 5 recipients, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, you can do up to 5. If there's more than that, I recommend doing an email group, adding everybody to that email group, and then they'll all get them together. And sometimes there's some of the carriers allow you to add a cell phone through email to it, so you can also get text messages if your carrier has that email phone number option or ability. So
we have a question here. If they are wearing sunglasses or glasses,
yeah, that's
how will it affect the camera's performance?
It will, because remember, it takes the temperature from the forehead center of the eyes. When you're wearing glasses or things on your face, it's gonna have an effect on that temperature. So you want to have people take that off. That's also why there's the other option to take temperatures over the forehead or things like that for a lot of people. But more than likely, the glass in the eye, because this is a the way it takes temperature, it will affect the temperature taking.
Okay. Go back to Bolide SVMS. I'll go back to live view.
Let me switch this over back. Okay.
All right.
So there's a live view and there's a temperature screening view. The difference is live view, you're just going to get just that, a live view. But temperature screening gives you all the other functions.
So you have to go to temperature screening.
Yeah, temperature screening. Yep, and then you'll get everything that you need to see when it's functioning.
So that pretty much takes care of the setup.
Yep.
Gonna be wrapping up the webinar. Okay, so guys, we'll do a Q&A before we wrap up. But to summarize, I mean, the setup was pretty simple. You just have to know the the parameters here. So mount the camera about 12 feet high, 10 to 12 feet, not too high.
Yeah.
Distance from the persons.
Yeah, so that changes. So that's going to be, probably the most important thing during the setup is getting the distance correct as people come through, or where you want to take those temperatures.
Yeah. So we had it at 12 feet, and we were getting accurate readings. Too close, it will come up high. Yeah. And you've seen all the color palettes, the views. You've seen the bookmark when there's an over temperature. So this is really a good solution. Yeah. I think we've covered it pretty good.
Yeah, and then this camera can be very versatile. It's not just a thermal temperature taking camera. You can do
spatial recognition.
Yeah, you can do multiple things with it.
Greetings.
Open up doors using the relays. I mean, it does a lot.
Yeah, and as we said on the webinar title, and it's less than half the cost of your, larger black body thermal cameras. Get you guys, more opportunities out there. Have more competitive price quotes for a solution that works really, really well. And the economy is opening up, and schools are reopening. We're in California. Schools are still closed. Restaurants, retail stores, the mall, government, buildings. By the way, this solution is NDA compliant, so you can put them in federal government buildings. I mean, you name it. They want to enhance safety with the body temperature check. That's automated, electronic, that records data.
And
this is
easy to use.
Yeah, and easy to use.
Easy to use.
And multiple ways to record, multiple ways to view. We feel like this is it. This is something that's really good for the you guys, the resellers.
Yep.
So we'll wrap up, and hope you guys see you on the next webinar. We record this, so it'll be on YouTube later on today. We're gonna send it to you. Feel free to forward to your friends, colleagues, whoever.
If you guys have any questions after this, you feel free to give us a call.
Yeah, put up our contact information slide. Yes, it's on there. See our email address, our YouTube page. There you go. The website, phone number. That's we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Type in Bolide Technology Group. You'll find all of our webinars on there. Great resource. So again, hope you guys have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us today.
Yep. Everybody stay safe.
All right. Have a good one.